Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a moment. If a man truly misses you, I want you to understand something real clear. He will do something. See, men are not complicated when it comes to what matters to them. We are very simple creatures. When something is important to us, it shows up in our actions, not our excuses. A man who misses you won't sit around wondering what you're doing. He'll try to find out. He won't wait 3 days to text you back because pride doesn't beat desire. When he misses you, silence becomes uncomfortable for him. Distance starts to bother him. And trust me, when a man's heart is involved, he loses the ability to play it cool. Now, ladies, don't get distracted by words. Missing you isn't. I was busy, or I've been meaning to call. Missing you is effort. It's him checking in even when he's tired. It's him making time, even when life is pulling him in 10 different directions. Because what a man wants, he prioritizes. If he misses you, he takes action, not just talks. And ladies, this is where so many people get confused because words are easy. Anybody can say they miss you. Anybody can send a late night message, a random thinking about you, or a few emotional sentences when they're feeling lonely. But a man who truly misses you doesn't just express it. Verbally, he proves it through consistent behavior. Men are wired to move toward what they want. When desire is real, it creates motion. A man who misses you will reach out without being prompted. He doesn't need reminders, hints, or emotional pressure. You won't have to post things hoping he notices, or create distance just to see if he reacts. His need to connect with you comes naturally. He checks in because not hearing from you bothers him. Your absence creates discomfort, and that discomfort pushes him to act. Action shows up in effort. He finds time, not excuses. It doesn't matter how busy he is. Busy men still eat, sleep, and scroll their phones. So if he truly misses you, he will carve out moments just to hear your voice or see your face. It might be a call during a break, a message before bed, or plans to see you even when the schedule is tight. Missing you makes access to you feel necessary, not optional. When a man misses you, his actions are consistent, not occasional. It's not one strong day followed by silence. It's not intensity mixed with disappearance. His behavior becomes predictable in a good way. You feel his presence even when he's not physically there because his effort doesn't fade once he gets comfortable. Missing you keeps him engaged. You'll also notice that a man who misses you doesn't play games. He doesn't test how long he can stay silent. He doesn't wait to respond just to look unbothered. Emotional attachment removes the desire to compete for power. When he misses you, he'd rather feel close than look cool. Pride takes a back seat to connection. Action also means protection of the bond. A man who misses you becomes more intentional. He doesn't want misunderstandings. He doesn't want you questioning where you stand. He may not say everything perfectly, but his behavior starts to align with reassurance. He shows up when it matters. He follows through. He understands that losing you would hurt more than putting in effort. And here's the part that's important to understand. Action doesn't require perfection, but it does require sincerity. A man who misses you may stumble, but he won't disappear. He may not always say the right thing, but he won't leave you guessing. Because when a man truly misses you, doing nothing is not an option. Men prioritize what they truly care about, and this truth is uncomfortable for a lot of people because it removes the need for interpretation. Priority is not something a man has to explain. It is something you can observe. When a man genuinely cares, his time, energy, and attention naturally shift toward the person who matters to him. It doesn't require pressure, reminders, or emotional negotiations. It happens because his internal compass points in that direction. A man's life may be busy, demanding, and unpredictable, but priority shows up in patterns, not promises. If you look closely, you'll see that he always finds time for what he values most. He may have long workdays, responsibilities, and stress, but somehow he still manages to make space for the things that matter to him, his hobbies, his friends, his rest. When you are a priority, you are placed into that same protected space. You are not squeezed in only when it's convenient. When a man prioritizes you, you don't feel like you're competing with his life, you feel included in it. He lets you know what's going on instead of disappearing. He gives context instead of excuses. Even when he can't be physically present, he stays emotionally present. A quick check-in, a thoughtful message, or making future plans are all signs that you're on his mind. Priority doesn't mean constant attention, it means consistent consideration. Men who truly care also prioritize clarity. They don't enjoy leaving someone they value in confusion. If something changes, they communicate it. If they're struggling, they don't shut you out completely. Silence is not how a man treats someone he doesn't want to lose. When you matter, he understands that neglect creates distance, and distance creates risk. Another important sign of priority is sacrifice. A man won't sacrifice everything, but he will adjust. He may rearrange his schedule, delay personal comfort, or put extra effort into maintaining connection. These sacrifices don't feel like burdens to him because they serve something meaningful. When a man cares, effort feels justified. What often causes pain is when women try to interpret potential instead of observing priority. They listen to what he says he wants to do rather than watching what he consistently does. But priority lives in behavior. If you're always waiting, always adapting, always understanding, while he remains unchanged, then the priority is one-sided. And no amount of patience can turn inconsistency into commitment. A man who prioritizes you doesn't need to be chased. He doesn't need ultimatums. His actions quietly but clearly place you in a position of importance. You don't feel like an option or a convenience. You feel chosen, valued, and considered. Because when a man truly cares, his life doesn't push you away. It makes room for you. Silence bothers a man who is emotionally invested, and this is something many people misunderstand. When a man has real feelings, emotional distance doesn't bring him peace, it creates tension. He may try to distract himself with work, routines, or entertainment, but the absence of communication lingers in his mind. He notices when he hasn't heard from you. The quiet feels heavier because connection has become part of his emotional rhythm. For a man who cares, silence doesn't feel like control or power. It feels like loss of access. When he's emotionally attached, not knowing how you're feeling unsettles him. He starts to wonder if you're okay, if something has changed, or if he said or done something wrong. That curiosity isn't insecurity, it's investment. Emotional attachment creates awareness, and awareness makes silence uncomfortable. You'll notice that when a man is invested, he doesn't stay silent for long. Even if he needs space, he explains it. He gives context because he doesn't want you filling the silence with negative assumptions. A man who cares understands that silence can damage connection, so he tries to prevent it from becoming permanent. He may not communicate perfectly, but he won't disappear without reason. Silence also challenges a man's sense of connection. When he's emotionally involved, your presence provides comfort, validation, and familiarity. Removing that suddenly creates imbalance. He feels the absence in small moments when something reminds him of you, when he wants to share a thought, or when his day slows down. That's when silence becomes loud, and that's often when he reaches out, not because he's bored, but because he misses the emotional closeness. Men who are not invested can tolerate silence easily. They don't feel urgency. They may enjoy the distance because it allows them to detach without effort. But an emotionally connected man feels pulled toward communication. He doesn't see reaching out as weakness. He sees it as restoring connection. The desire to hear your voice or read your message outweighs the need to protect his ego. Silence also triggers fear of replacement when a man truly cares. He understands that emotional distance creates space, and space allows someone else to enter. That awareness makes him more attentive, not less. He doesn't want to lose relevance in your life. He wants to remain emotionally present, even if circumstances keep him physically away. Most importantly, a man who is emotionally invested doesn't use silence as a weapon. He doesn't withdraw to punish or test you. Silence to him is not strategy, it's discomfort. And discomfort pushes action. He reaches out, clarifies, reconnects, and reassures. Because when feelings are real, silence is not peaceful. It's a signal that something valuable is missing. Mixed signals usually mean mixed feelings. And this truth is difficult to accept because it forces you to stop searching for hidden meaning. People often believe that confusion is part of attraction. But real interest is not confusing. When a man knows what he feels and what he wants, his behavior reflects that clarity. When he doesn't, his actions become inconsistent, sending signals that don't align with his words. A man with mixed feelings may care about you, but not enough to commit fully. That internal conflict shows up as hot and cold behavior. One moment he's attentive, affectionate, and present. The next moment, he's distant, distracted, or unavailable. This inconsistency is not a mystery, it's a reflection of uncertainty inside him. He's emotionally torn between desire and hesitation. Mixed signals often appear when a man enjoys the emotional connection but fears responsibility. He likes how you make him feel, but he's unsure if he's ready to show up consistently. So he gives just enough to keep the connection alive, but not enough to stabilize it. This creates confusion for you because his actions contradict each other. Hope rises, then drops. Clarity never fully arrives. Another reason mixed signals happen is priority imbalance. When a man hasn't decided where you fit in his life, his effort fluctuates. Some days you feel important. Other days you feel forgotten. That inconsistency is painful because it keeps you emotionally alert, always trying to read between the lines. But the truth is, if you were a clear priority, you wouldn't have to decode his behavior. A man who is sure about you doesn't leave emotional loose ends. He doesn't disappear after deep conversation. He doesn't pull away after closeness. He doesn't make you feel secure one day and anxious the next. Emotional stability comes from intention, and mixed signals reveal a lack of it. Many people mistake mixed signals for complexity or depth. They believe the inconsistency means there's something meaningful happening beneath the surface. But emotional depth brings transparency, not confusion. Mixed signals don't mean he's struggling to express love. They mean he hasn't decided to fully invest. What makes mixed signals dangerous is that they shift the emotional burden onto you. You begin questioning yourself instead of his behavior. You wonder if you're asking for too much, reading too much, or expecting too soon. But clarity is not too much to ask for when feelings are real. Consistency is the bare minimum of genuine interest. When you accept that mixed signals equal mixed feelings, you stop chasing clarity from someone who doesn't have it. You stop waiting for certainty to appear in inconsistent behavior. Because real interest doesn't leave you guessing, it shows up clearly, calmly, and repeatedly. A man who misses you won't risk losing you. And this truth reveals itself in the way he behaves when distance appears. When a man genuinely cares, the idea of you slipping out of his life creates urgency. He becomes more aware of his actions because he understands that neglect, silence, or inconsistency can push you away. Emotional attachment sharpens his sense of responsibility toward the connection. When a man fears losing you, he becomes intentional. He doesn't leave things open-ended. He doesn't assume you'll always be there no matter how little effort he gives. Instead, he works to secure his place in your life. This may show up as clearer communication, making plans, or expressing his intentions more directly, not because he's pressured, but because he wants to remove uncertainty. A man who doesn't want to lose you also pays attention to your emotional state. He notices when your energy shifts. He senses when you pull back. Rather than ignoring it, he addresses it. He asks questions, checks in, and tries to understand what's going on. Indifference disappears when fear of loss is present. He knows that emotional distance, if left unaddressed, can become permanent. This fear of loss also changes how a man handles conflict. Instead of walking away or shutting down, he tries to resolve issues. He may not always say things perfectly, but his effort is focused on repair rather than escape. He understands that unresolved problems create cracks, and cracks can lead to separation. Caring makes him stay engaged, even when conversations are uncomfortable. A man who misses you doesn't leave replacement opportunities open. He doesn't act as if you're easily replaceable or temporary. His behavior shows exclusivity, even if it's not labeled yet. He avoids actions that could push you towards someone else. He understands that when he doesn't show up, someone else might. Risk avoidance also shows inconsistency. A man who doesn't want to lose you doesn't disappear for long stretches. He doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. He maintains a steady presence because he knows that inconsistency creates doubt, and doubt creates emotional withdrawal. His goal becomes maintaining connection, not testing boundaries. Most importantly, a man who fears losing you values your place in his life. He treats your time, feelings, and trust with care. He understands that once trust is broken or connection fades, rebuilding it may not be possible. That awareness keeps him attentive. When a man misses you, he doesn't gamble with your absence. He doesn't assume you'll wait forever. His actions quietly say, "You matter too much to risk losing." Real interest brings clarity, not confusion. And this is one of the strongest signs that a man genuinely cares. When a man knows what he feels, his behavior settles into something calm and understandable. You don't feel like you're walking on emotional quicksand, unsure of where you stand. Instead, his actions line up in a way that makes sense. You may not know every detail of his heart, but you know enough to feel secure. Clarity shows up in communication. A man with real interest doesn't leave conversations unfinished or emotionally open-ended. He follows up. He explains when he can't show up. He doesn't vanish and return as if nothing happened. Even when life is busy or complicated, he gives you context because he respects your emotional space. Confusion usually comes from absence, not complexity. When a man is truly interested, you don't have to guess his intentions. He may not rush, but he moves forward with consistency. His pace may be steady rather than fast, but it's directional. You can feel progress. Time with him doesn't feel stagnant. You don't feel like you're stuck in the same emotional place month after month, wondering if things will ever change. Clarity also shows in emotional safety. You're not constantly questioning your worth or wondering if you're asking for too much. His behavior reassures you without you having to demand reassurance. You don't need to compete for his attention or prove your value. When interest is real, you feel chosen, not tolerated. A man who brings clarity doesn't send mixed emotional messages. He doesn't pull you close and then push you away. He doesn't make you feel special one day and invisible the next. Emotional consistency creates peace. You feel relaxed in the connection instead of alert, anxious, or overanalyzing every interaction. Confusion often keeps people emotionally attached longer than clarity does, because it creates hope without stability. But real interest doesn't rely on confusion to survive. It stands firmly in transparency. A man who truly cares doesn't benefit from you being unsure. He benefits from you feeling secure. Clarity doesn't mean perfection. A man can still be learning, growing, or figuring things out. But he brings you along in that process instead of shutting you out. He communicates his intentions, his limits, and his direction honestly. You may not have all the answers, but you have enough truth to make informed emotional decisions. When a man's interest is real, it simplifies your emotional experience. You stop guessing. You stop overthinking. You stop questioning whether you matter. Clarity replaces confusion because genuine care doesn't leave you emotional. Lost it helps you feel grounded, respected, and at peace.